שירו לאדוני, שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני, כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני, ברכו שמו, בסכו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסכו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו בגויים כבודו, לכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו בגויים כבודו, לכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו בגויים כבודו, לכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שיר לאדוני, שיר לאדוני, שיר לאדוני. ספרו בגויים כבודו, לכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו
Shabbat Shalom. We turn to page 67 as we set our intention for this Shabbat morning. May this community be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May this congregation be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. As we are here this morning in the sanctuary and joining on live stream, may we think about how our community and celebrating Shabbat impacts us all. Page 77. We thank God for our bodies this morning, even if you had some cricks and cracks as you woke up and a little bit of stiffness here and there, that we are here and we are together. Top of page 77, join with me. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe. With divine wisdom, you have made our bodies, combining veins, arteries, and vital organs into a finely balanced network. Wondrous maker and sustainer of life, were one of them to fail, how well we are aware. We would lack the strength to stand before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, source of our health and strength. Baruch atah Adonai, rofeh chol basar umafli la'asot. Page 78, Elohai neshama shenatata bi, my God, the soul you have given me is pure.
Every day you give me life. Every day when you wake me from the night. Every day you restore my soul. Every day, Elohai, you make me whole. Elohai neshama, shenatata bi. Tehorahi, Tehorahi, Atavirata, Yitzarta, Nefachta bi, Ve'ata mishamra, Bekirbi. Every day you give me life. Every day when you wake me from the night. Every day you restore my soul. Every day, Elohai, you make me whole.
Page 93. Prayer gives us the guidance we need. It opens the mind to the illumination of God. The prophets made their whole life an act of prayer, so they received the inspiration of God. Our humbler minds, standing much below the heights in which they stood, receiving for the most part only a reflected illumination, may now and then, by climbing a little higher, catch a glimpse of the direct light. Through prayer, we can receive the guidance of God to strengthen our hold on truth, goodness, righteousness, and purity, which are the laws for humanity emanating from the nature of God. Page 106 for Chatzi Kaddish, as we rise and remain standing through Shema.
יתקדש ויתקדש שמי רבה, אמן. בעלמא דברה חירתי, וימליך מלכותי, וחייכון וימכון וחיי לכל בית ישראל. בהגלה וזמן קריב, וימרו, אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם עולמי עמיה. יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתאמר ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי לקודשא בריחוד, לעילא מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה, די מהרה לעולמה, ואמרו אמן.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uvarei choshech, osei shalom uvarei et hakol, hami'ir la'aretz v'ladarim alecha barachamim, uvtuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reishit, ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam b'chochma asita, ma'ah ha'aretz kinyanecha, tiparach Adonai Eloheinu, al shevach ma'aseh yadecha, Ba'al me'orei or sha'asita yifa'arucha sela. Or chadash al tzion ta'ir, v'nizkeh hulanu mehera le'oro. Baruch atah Adonai, yotzer ha'me'orot. Turn to page 113. I'm going to share a reading from somewhere else in the prayer book, and then we will come together with our Hatimah, our closing line in Hebrew, as we think about our love for God. Days pass and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Together, Baruch atah Adonai, habocher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad. Baruch Shem kevod malchuto le'olam va'ed. And join me in V'ahavta on page 116. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'atecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levonecha v'divarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech u'v'shochbecha u'v'kurmecha u'kshartam leot hayadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'v'yisharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אמת.
Page 121, we read responsively. Emet, there is no place where you are not. Even in the wilderness there is your word.
Emet, that pen strokes of lightning, white fire, black flame, stir the soul's passion, guide our sacred way. True and enduring is Torah.
Your truth for us is certain and established now and forevermore. Like Moses, Miriam, and all Israel, we sing out and rejoice. Amen. We continue with the Amidah on page 124. We rise together.
ata Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'Konei Hakol, Ve'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Le'ma'an Shema ve'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh kol atah Rav le'Hoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Chaim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'rofeh cholim, U'matir asurim, U'mekayem emunato lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, U'mido melech, melech memit u'mechayeh, U'matzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah la'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Nekadesh et shemecha ba'olam, Keshem shemokdishim oto b'shmei maron, Kakatuv ayad neviecha, V'kara zeh ve'amar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Meloch ol haaretz, Kevodo, Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adoninu, Madir Shemecha b'chol haaretz, Baruch kevod Adonai mimkomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu, hu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu ve'hu Yoshmienu, berachamov le'nei kol chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Himelach Adonai le'olam, Elohai Tzion, ledor vador, Hallelujah. Ledor vador agid kodlecha, ulenetzach netzachim kedushatecha nagdish, v'shivchacha Eloheinu mipenu lo yamush, le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
You may be seated. We continue on page 132 as we rejoice in the 24 hours of Shabbat that we have been given with the words of Yismechu.
Yismechu v'malechetecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechetecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, korei oneg Shabbat.
page 134, together. Our God and God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest. Sanctify us with your mitzvot and grant us a share in your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness and gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Adonai our God, grant us your holy Shabbat as a heritage. May Israel, who sanctifies your name, rest on Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. On page 137, we read responsively. On this holy Shabbat, may we draw nearer to life, to peace, and to joy.
May we find true rest, holiness in our deeds, worth in our study of Torah.
Let us feed on the love of goodness. Let us drink from the love of goodness. Restrain our thirst for excess and cleanse our hearts to serve life well.
On this holy Shabbat, may we draw near in life, in peace, and in joy.
Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha be'ira na'avod. We acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai, our God, and the God of our ancestors forever. You are the rock of our lives and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, and for your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one whose mercies never end, O compassionate one whose kindness never fails, we forever put our hope in you. For all these things, O sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot.
Sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tovo veracha. Sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tovo veracha. Ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tovo veracha. Please take a moment now for your own silent meditation. Oseh shalom, shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom.
Seder Kriyat Torah, our service for the reading of Torah, page 245. Assemble the people, men, women, and children, and the strangers in your cities, to hear, to learn, to revere Adonai your God, to observe faithfully the words of this Torah, and let their children who do not yet know it hear, that they too may learn to revere Adonai your God. We rise in honor of our Torah.
In kamocha Elohim Adonai, ve'en kema'asecha, malchutcha malchut kol olamim, u'memashaltecha b'chol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai moch le'olam va'ed, Adonai oz le'amo yitin, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom.
On the bottom of page 247, we read responsively. In this scroll is the secret of our people's life from Sinai until now.
Its teaching is love and justice, goodness and hope. Freedom is its gift to all who treasure it. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadlul Adonai iti, u'nomem Shemo yachtav. Lecha Adonai hagdulah v'hagvurah v'hatiferet v'hanetzach v'hahod. Ki chol b'shamayim u'va'aretz, ki chol b'shamayim u'va'aretz. Lecha Adonai ha'mamlecha ve'mitnaseh lechol erosh. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, hine ma tov. Ya la 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 la. Hine ma tov, hine ma tov. Ya la 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 la.
You may be seated. So Cantor Berlin is going to pass out our text study this Shabbat. If you are joining us online, specifically live stream, underneath the video where you see my lovely face is a button that will tell you the text study for this morning. You can click that and follow along with us. And later, when Elaine is reading Torah, if you click on the order of service, you'll be able to follow along also with that. If you're in the sanctuary, the order of service is on that front table when you walked in so that you can follow along with the Torah reading as well. So we are in a double Torah portion, our end of the book of Numbers. And this Torah portion is Matot Maaseh. And in the first part of the first Torah portion of the double portion in Matot, Moses is describing the laws of the oaths or vows or both We talked a little bit about it in Torah study this morning. And then there's a battle that the Israelites have with the Midianites. And as they are approaching the promised land, the Reubenites and Gadites say, hey, this land on the east side of the Jordan is really fertile. I want to stay here. Moses is appalled and says to them, you don't care about the rest of the Israelites. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. You don't care about the rest of the Israelites. And they said, no, we'll go with you. We'll cross over. We'll help everybody settle. But this is really where we want to be. God then tells Moses where every tribe is going to be. And then there are clarifications of the laws of murder. And then the daughters of Zelophehad get their inheritance, which is what we have talked about in previous Torah portions as well. So today, what I wanted to focus on was the journey that happens within this double Torah portion. And so Numbers 33, 1 through 5. Bernadette, will you read that in English for me?
These were the marches of the Israelites who started out from the land of Egypt, troop by troop, in the charge of Moses and Aaron. Moses recorded the starting points of their various marches as directed by Adonai. Their marches by starting points were as follows. They set out from Ramesses in the first month, on the 15th day of the first month. It was on the morrow of the Passover offering that the Israelites started out defiantly, in plain view of all the Egyptians. The Egyptians, meanwhile, were burying those among them whom Adonai had struck down, every male firstborn, whereby Adonai executed judgment on their gods. The Israelites set out from Ramesses and encamped at Sukkoth.
Thank you, right? So we get a little replay that this is how the Israelites started. They left Egypt, but what I want to focus on is the beginning, right? And throughout this section, every single journey is listed. How long it took them to get from place to place, where they were, the names of the towns, all of these different pieces are followed. So why? Why do we have to have all of these listed? We've learned about them kind of throughout the book of Exodus, but why now are they being listed again in Numbers? So, Karina, will you do Sforno?
Elech say, these were the marches. God wanted all the journeys to be recorded in order to complement the Jewish people who had followed him blindly through the desert where nothing grew, so that as a reward for their faith, they would deserve to enter and inherit the land of Israel.
Thank you, right? So again, God is just going over it for the Israelites to say, you guys did great. This was 40 years. You followed, wasn't easy. I'm gonna, let you know that this is super exciting, and now you get to go into the land of Israel. Then we get to Rabbeinu Bachya, who has 3 different ideas, and I separated them out by 1, 2, and 3, that he explains why these journeys are listed. Woody, would you read 1 and 2, if you'd be willing to do 2 also?
By having listed all the places where the Israelites camped, we realize that the people did not move around in the desert constantly, like someone escaping from a pursuer. The people never knew for how long the cloud would remain stationary, signaling that they were to remain in their present location. All their journeys were determined by God's strategy, not their own or that of Moses.
Right, so Rabbeinu Bachya says there's a couple of reasons, and we're going to get to his 3rd reason, but I want to just stop on 1 and 2. Right, 1 is we're listing all of these places because sometimes it seems like they went place, but we have to remember it was 40 years, and sometimes they were in a location for 19 years, right? And then number 2, they were told by this cloud when they should stay. Okay, and then a pillar of fire told them they should leave, right? No one wants to be by fire, so yeah, makes sense, right? But this cloud, they had no idea how long this cloud would stay. So reminding again that God was the one who chose when they should move to the next place. All right, number 3 of Rabbeinu Bachya, and you can keep your mask on when you use the microphone, because I've been using it the whole time with the mask. It works.
There is another purpose. Every journey was triggered by certain events or certain tendencies displayed by the people at the location. This is the reason that Torah names each one of them. When the name of the place suggests something pleasant, positive, it means that the move had been orchestrated by the attribute of mercy. Because the Israelites had conducted themselves properly, whereas if the name of the place suggests a negative connotation, this reflects the fact that the attribute of justice had orchestrated that particular journey because the people had misbehaved.
So I think this is so cool, right? It's a reminder, and we hear about this when we learn about each place in more depth, but it's this really cool reminder that says, well, wait a second. It's actually a way to show that God has not only different attributes, but uses those different attributes to have them move or stay, right? And the Israelites are not always great. They're not always wonderful rule followers. I'm sorry if I just spoiled the whole Torah for you by telling you that. But, right, Israelites have their ups and their downs. And it is encapsulated within that 40-year journey and the names of where they have been. And I think that is really cool that we are able to use the names of the places interwoven with their behavior there. So that's all well and good, but why do we care today and what can we learn from that, Steve?
One can and should make every effort to learn from his mistakes, thus he will be able to perceive his shortcomings, what provokes him to sin, what intimidates him, and what inspires him. People are regrettably inclined to whitewash their past faults. They seek to forget the moments in their lives when they slipped and erred. They choose to remember only the positive moments, the times when they demonstrated courage and resolve, when their conviction held the central role in their lives. By regulating our negative experiences and actions to the side, we are tossing away the opportunity for self-improvement. This is one time that emphasizing the positive is not constructive. The Israelites were admonished not to forget what had happened. Learn from the experiences of the past in order to enhance your present and future.
Thank you, right? So Torah easily could have said, y'all did a great job, and now we're going to bring you to the Holy Land, and here's where y'all are going to be, and it's just going to be wonderful and happy all the way through. But instead, Rabbi Scheinbaum points out, no, we had the places that maybe their behavior wasn't so great. We had the places where their behavior was good because it's human nature. We all have our ups and downs, and we have to be reminded of these things. And to say, we are going to make ourselves better. Look how much better those years where we behaved properly were than the ones where they weren't. And so reminding us that we need to make sure that we are taking responsibility and ownership for what we have done and seek to make ourselves better each and every day. Shabbat Shalom. So not reading these verses, but the verses that are on your order of service. Elaine is going to be our guest Torah reader this morning. The Torah Blessings are on page 250.
Did you already say the blessings are on page 250?
I did, but you can repeat it. It's always worth
The
repeating.
blessings are on page 250. And let's see. Here's the. These things here. Is that on? Yeah, hold on one sec. We're going to do the blessings. I know, I'm just making sure it's okay. You can take your mask off if you want. Please join me on page 250. Baruch hu et Adonai hamborach. Baruch Adonai hamborach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et torto. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. V'yedaber Adonai El Moshe ba'arvot Moav Ayarden Yericho lemor Daber el bnei Yisrael v'amerta alehem ki atem et hayarden el eretz Canaan. V'horashtem et kol yoshvei haaretz mipnechem ve'ibatem el kol maskiotam ve'et kol samei masichotam ta'abedu ve'et kol bamotam tashmidu v'horashtem et haaretz v'shavtim ba ki lachem natati et haaretz la reshet ota v'hit nachalatem et haaretz bagora lemishpechotechem lerav tarbu et nachalato ve'lamat tamid et nachalato el asher yetze lo shama hagora lo yeh lamatot avotechem titnechalu. Yashkoch. And the blessing. Yes, would you like to read the? I don't have it. Would you like to read the English?
English.
Oh, sure. I'll read it. Yeah. In the steppes of Moab, at the Jordan near Jericho, the Eternal One spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the Israelite people and say to them, when you cross the Jordan into the land of Canaan, you shall dispossess all of the inhabitants of the land. You shall destroy all their figured objects. You shall destroy all their molten images, and you shall demolish all their cult places. And you shall take possession of the land and settle it, for I have assigned the land to you to possess. You shall apportion the land among yourselves by lot, clan by clan." I want to say something about the clan by clan, and that is, there's a word, mishpotechem, that I read, and it just partly mishpacha, right? So I figure that's the clan or the tribe, right? Okay. So with larger groups, increase the share. With smaller groups, reduce the share. Wherever the lot falls for it, that shall be its location. You shall have your portions according to your ancestral tribes.
Thank you.
And the blessing after. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
With the Torah in our midst, we take these words and their location of being in this Torah, in the sanctuary in our midst, as one that can help those who are in need of healing, of mind, of body, and of spirit. We think of those who are in our hearts and whisper their names aloud, and the names on our lips join those on our order of service or on your screen. We join together in the words of Mishaberach, which can be found on page 253.
Mishaberach avotenu mikol habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage
Amen. As we turn to page 252, we rise in honor of our Torah.
וזאת התורה ששם משה לפני בני ישראל, על פי אדוני ביד משה. וזאת התורה ששם משה לפני בני ישראל, על פי אדוני ביד משה. יאי לי 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 לי, יאי לי 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 לי, יאי לי 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 לי, יאי לי לי לי, יאי לי לי, יאי לי לי לי, יאי לי לי לי, יאי לי. Page 256. את חיים היא למחזיקים בה, ותומכיה מאושר דרכיה תחינום וכל נתיבותיה שלום. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה, חדש ימינו כקדם.
We continue with Aleinu on page 283.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וגור עלינו להמליך מלכותו. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. Our memorial meditation is on page 291. It is hard to sing of oneness when the world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and naught but memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind. But memory can tell us only what we were, in company with those we loved. It cannot help us find what each of us alone must now become. Yet no one is really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our thoughts and words, and what they did is part of what we have become. We do best homage to our dead when we live our lives more fully, even in the shadow of our loss. For each of our lives is worth the life of the whole world, and each one is the breath of the ultimate one. In affirming the one, we affirm the worth of each one whose life now ended brought us closer to the source of life, in whose unity no one is alone and every life finds purpose. Our thoughts turn now to those in our community and extended community who have died at this time in years past. As we mark their yard sites, we remember them. Max Barnett, Esther Beichman, Claire Bergovoy, Dr. Raymond Berlin, Sylvia Berlin, Sylvia Schwartz-Bronstein, Ephraim Charnaninsky, Cyril Dalkowitz, Richard Dalsimer, Beverly Jackie Eisenberg, Farnese Falkstein, Dr. Bernard Fine, Herbert Feitler, Evelyn Franks, Joel Friedman, David Garrison, Owen Simon Gerson, Bella Glassberg, Walter Green, Anne Grome, Herbert M. Harris, Rabbi Morris M. Hirschman, Bruce Hinsey, John Huddleston, Colonel Dennis Johnson, Rosetta Josephson, Jonathan Caden, Ruth Dubinsky Callison, Susie Coulter Gershman, Estelle Prissy Lieberman Kaufman, Joshua Evan Levine, Renee Levy, Michael Reese Leffler, Robert Lane Leffler, Babe Matisoff, Eleanor Mazur, Ethel Adam Neerman, Martin Pollock, R. Bernard Pomerantz, Louis Ratner, Corinne Ringel, Bill Rips, Matthew Rosen, Lawrence Rosenberg, Roy Solomon Shapira, Harold Charlack, Meyer Charlack, Fred Sherman, Dr. Alan G. Silver, Rhoda F. Silver, Colonel Merton Singer, Shirley Sterling, Nathan Ubogi, Lillian Z. Wayne, Max Weiss, and Andrea Tackman Wu. We also think of those who've been buried in this past month, whose families are in a mourning period of Shloshim. Remember Helene Ingram and Hadassah Langbaum. With all of these names and those which are in our hearts each and every day, we turn to page 294, rising together as one community for Kaddish Yatom. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach yeruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala u'v'yizman kari v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'lam ulmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudasha b'richu, La'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Osei shalom b'imromav, u'ya'asei shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, amen. Our closing song this Shabbat is Ein Kelohenu, which can be found on page 322.
Ein Kelohenu, ein Kodonenu, ein Kemokenu, ein Kemoshienu, Michelohenu, Michodonenu, Michemokenu, Michemoshienu, Nor Eloheinu, Nor Eloheinu, Nor Elemokeinu, Nor Elemoshienu. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Mokeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Mokeinu, Atahu Moshienu.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.